Caribbean. Lucky like we, Studio Galaxy Day for you and me. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. Studio Galaxy in Confero, hope you know. 473 standing strong is yours, you know. The medium and opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Democracy in Spice Isles is alive and well. Ask you questions, sing and beat you drum. Make you suggestions, encourage them on to walk the straight and narrow in the land. Politics, religion and economic issue, regional, international, spiritual issues too. Agricultural, environmental and trending to subject matter. We fear none, we back down. Freedom of speech is enshrined in the land. God, we freedom, jealous and they in Cuba. Russians and Chinese and lucky like we. Rhine and North Korea, wish they had it too. Most of the Caribbean, lucky like we. Studio Galaxy Day for you and me. Galaxy Equalizer, ready like Freddy. And Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. We freedom of speech is sacrosanct. Make use of it, let no one challenge. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. Galaxy in Confero, hope you know. 473 standing strong is yours, you know. The medium, an opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is a road.
Welcome, my brothers and sisters. Welcome back again to the second part of our program with the Galaxy Equalizers on Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. And on that part of the program is pure politics. And the question we ask today, why it seems that we readily support corruption. Over the last 3 years, there was so much acts of corruption in Grenada, blatant acts of corruption. It seems as if it is the policy of the government to be corrupt. And we seem to readily support it. People who were jumping up about corruption before, and rightly so, seems to justify the actions of the government now. But not only with the government. You see it also in the private sector. I was very disturbed a couple of weeks ago when a woman came to me and she said the company with which she works gives her 2 weeks holiday. She's been working with this company for about 11 years. but they stopped pay for holiday. So they gave her 2 weeks holiday, but they stopped pay for holiday. And I don't understand that. I said, well, if you're working with a company and they give you holiday because you've been working with them for X years, how come they stop pay for holiday? So she are not getting pay when she took that 2 weeks. She said years before they used to pay her when she got on holiday. I was speaking to another girl, and she liked the place where she worked, but she said they just give her plenty days off. That's the only thing with them. I said, what you mean by that? She said sometimes 2 days in the week, they say, well, don't come today. And she says not to say that you know beforehand that you would not work every Thursday. But sometimes, according to how the business going, they tell her don't come to work. But you're not getting paid for it. And over the last 2.5 years, I've been on some topics because the government is set the pace. The government perhaps established the template in the country. And when the government have a policy where it seems to victimize people, then the private sector sometimes implement the policy. So people who would not generally have lost their work in the private sector, it's easier to lose your work now. Because the private sector start to treat everybody as if they're on contract. And they would get rid of you without bothering with the precedents and the norms set up. I hear things sometimes, it makes you tremble. Government started to build a house for somebody. And they stopped. They almost finished the house. It's a boat house. I don't know if it's built back better or whatever. It's a boat house. And they're building it free for the person. But they gathered information that the individual posts on Facebook statements that was not supportive of the government. So they stopped build the house. In fact, they take the rest of material and they left. I had the opportunity to speak to the individual. And I said, well, they reach a good way. And since you don't have to pay for what they did, don't bother. Because they almost finished the house, maybe about 80%. I say, you go and do it for yourself. I went to Tikolo to visit a woman who was a strong NDC supporter. She told me that they used to call her Miss NDC. And they started to build, she's supposed to benefit from the WASH program. They're building a toilet for her. But after they dig the trench to establish the bathroom and toilet, it appears that the neighbors informed them that she no longer are NDC. It seems as though she's very vocal. And she must have said she's not voting for them again. They dig the trench. They dig the foundation to build the toilet. And based upon what the neighbors tell them, they decide they're not going to continue. So the trench is filled with water. And the woman then was compounded by the mosquitoes. And where the pit toilet is, she couldn't pass from the back door again to go to the pit toilet. And she knew while the construction was going on that she would not be able to pass. She had to pass around the house. I couldn't believe it. Because they start the project. They start the project. Because the woman was known as Miss NDC, she went to the past prime minister and he was not able to help her. Now, something is going wrong in the society. If we become too tolerant, to corruption, it is going to spread like wildfire. There are some countries that have very bad name. They claim, whether it's the police, whether it's the public service, whether it's the hospital service, you have to bribe people. We're not there yet. But if we become too tolerant to corruption, if it seems that we readily accept and tolerate corruption, it's going to be hard to fix. It's going to penetrate every aspect of our society. There are some issues, and we have spoken about it on many occasions, that you don't know how a government could do that. Take, for instance, the excessive traveling of the government. I don't think anybody in Grenada could defend with conviction the excessive traveling of the government. It appears that the government is traveling to give them an opportunity to amass wealth. Because when they go away, they have to get a podium. And the more regular they go, they get podium and they are in a better financial position. We have heard stories where government ministers, in addition to the podium, run up hotel bill and the government pay. This thing seems as a whole fiasco. There are so much people quiet, particularly those that used to champion accountability, transparency, and good governance. Now there seems to be justifying the blatant acts of corruption. I'm even disappointed in the opposition, because I don't find the opposition is taking serious issue with some of those blatant acts of corruption that is taking place. This government flaunted the regulation, the laws of the Grenada Development Bank that was established in 1973. This one is dear to me. Eric Gary came under so much of fire in the 70s for excesses, human rights excesses, trying to suppress people's rights. They claim he was getting a lot of money, he was corrupt. And even at that time, those ministers was poor like church mice. Some of them didn't have a transport. Teacher used to be grazing the cow. Tate used to go and work in the store. Miss Nathan and Nadia Benjamin, husband was extension officers. They were not rich people. Yet, these people carry themselves with a level of integrity and honesty and without blemish. The main accusation against Gary was for his spiritual practice. They say Gary is a Obia man. Gary used to have regular prayer sessions. But he passed laws that no member of government or the very close family or the directors of the board must benefit from the Grenada Development Bank. Gary was not a lawyer. Deacon Mitchell is a lawyer. He flaunted the law with impunity and gave millions of dollars to members of this cabinet, directors of the board, and other close associates of the NDC. They raid the Grenada Development Bank. I consider them as common thieves. That they don't even have sophistication, because they could have changed the regulation of the bank, changed the laws, and say that irrespective of your politics or the political position you hold, you could raid the bank. It would not have been morally right, but it would have been legal. They treated the people with contempt. We heard about the corruption in the National Lottery. And it is the first time in the history of Grenada we have heard about this level of corruption in National Lottery. Never before. And National Lottery was started in 1979. We heard about incidents in Gravel and Concord. This government came into power and money was not a problem. Money was not a problem. They came into power as when somebody died and the children inherited great wealth. Over $530 million they met in the treasury. Savings. Over 530 million. This information came from them. A pregnant treasury. They got 100 million from Saudi Arabia. I think Deacon acknowledged it was the initiative of the previous government. I think he acknowledged that. You may be surprised when you get it. They got $118 million after burial. They claim that the Inland Revenue was collecting more money than was projected. They gave us information that they got $1 billion. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
How you doing, my brother?
Great, man.
Mr. Pierre, sorry I didn't pass back and look for you, man. That's the brother of the person
Yeah.
looking for asking for the red onion.
Okay.
Listen, Mr. Pierre, we have a prime minister before the election, before he get into power. He was living in Grenada, but what I'm seeing now is like he visiting Grenada now. Mr. Pierre, what's going on?
Yeah, he visits us.
Mr. Pierre, Mr. Pierre, I have a problem with that, man.
He visit
Mr.
the
Pierre,
country.
listen. Mr. Pierre, what is the problem? What the problem I have again, Mr. Pierre? I don't mind the trade with the African countries, but Mr. Pierre, I'm scared of the migration. Mr. Pierre, tell them when they come in and please leave the native spot in Africa. Please leave the native spot and leave tradition up there. Don't come in Grenada with it. Please. Don't bring the Yahoo boys in Grenada. The young ladies who see in the monthly whatsoever, as soon as they start to come down, they would have to start burying that. They cannot put that in garbage again. They will be paying young guys like Vagrant to go to the garbage to find them things, to do most of doing money with all them shit they will be bringing to Grenada. I don't mind the motherland. I would like to know the motherland, but you see, tell them leave tradition and leave the native spots. If they're going to come to Grenada, please. All right, my brother. Thank you.
Yes. I like the statement you made.
Yeah, I like it.
He used to live in Grenada, but now the Prime Minister is visiting Grenada. And you know, it is somewhat very sad because the previous government restricted traveling by ministers. He restricted traveling to save money. Said if the meeting or the course or whatever you're going on is fully funded, or if we can benefit from it, we'll go. Otherwise, you might have to attend it on Zoom. Because Grenada had 3 structural adjustment programs. And we made sacrifice so that we could get the economy right. The government legislated disciplines. And they had to restrict waste spending. And they saw unnecessary traveling as an expenditure they could avoid. And all these things contributed to them having a saving of over 530 million in the treasury. And that is coming from a period of time when the National Democratic Congress was in power. In 2008, 2013, we must never forget. They sold 13 pieces of property, including property that did not belong to them. They sold shares. They did not have the legal authority to sell. They still sell. They were not paying the NIS contribution. So there was NIS, they take the NIS contribution from the workers, but the government didn't pay it. They were not paying some of the international fees. And this country was in serious economic trouble. And the government came in and it took 2 terms. When they came back in power, they had 530 million. 100 million from Saudi Arabia. And for the first time, after the Hurricane Beryl, they had insurance. So they got 118 million from insurance. An electricity company, I think, got some million, I can't remember how much. And Nawasa got 2 point something million. So the 118 million the government had, they did not have to give Nawasa the electricity company. Now, 118 million could have clearly able to fix back almost all the houses in Carriacou. Because I don't think the damage to the houses was in excess of $100,000. and the government structure as it was built. The government squandered this money with impunity. Like all and sundry in Grenada knows that even stalwart NDC in closed doors saying we never expected that. One minister said that his account, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 months after he won, his account was less than $10 in the bank. Less than $10 in the bank. Today, that minister said, and he's speaking with the next election, win, lose, or draw, he fixed for life. So he's saying whether his party win, whether his party lose, or if he didn't get his seat, it doesn't matter. He is good. He is fixed for life. Now, how come we become so tolerant and seems to readily accept this level of corruption in our society? We have this sister from St. John. It is reported that our balance in our account after 2 years was $600 and something thousand. I never heard that in my life. I never heard that in my life. You would have to work for 40 years. An average salary of $3,000 a month would not give you 1.5 million. After 40 years. After 2 years, the sister have more than $500,000 in a bank account. Deacon Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada, it is widely rumored, and he has never disputed. So it strengthened the rumor that Deacon say you have to be a billionaire before you live. And he's planning to do it in one term. So I don't know if this excessive traveling is to help him to amass money. Now, how could you justify that? Mia Motley in Barbados spent 1.2 million, I think, in 7 years in traveling. And Deacon spent 8 million in 2 years. Now I want to say that again. I saw that on social media. And I have never heard the government challenge that. And remember, we're dealing with a government that is not giving you information. So if we hear something on social media, we do research. And if when you go to NDC stalwarts, they're just smiling. And they say, boy, that we don't know. You tend to believe it more. The government, Deacon Mitchell spent 8 million in 2 years. All things being equal, he spent 4 million already. Now, how could we tolerate this level of corruption? Now look at Polaris. This one is such an interesting one. The health system in Grenada is not what we would like it to be. I am of the view that sometimes we bash the health system mercilessly. I am also of the view that the health system is not as bad as we claim it. That's my position. Always. I believe our biggest problem here is management. And we need to have more medical doctors and medical personnel. I have advanced the view repeatedly that we don't need a new hospital. There is absolutely no need for a new structure. Princess Alice Hospital have enough land, and we can expand Princess Alice Hospital. If we want to build a 4-story, 5-story building, we could easily do it in Princess Alice Hospital. And it might make some sense. Instead of you having the main structure in one part of the country, you share it around. I strongly believe that there is room in the St. George's area. You have where the Duncan ward was and where the psychiatric unit was. And you could easily go up a few floors there and expand the St. George's Hospital. If road is a problem, you could make a ring road around the sea. And because of the height, because of the area where the hospital is situated, the ventilation, the breeze from the sea could cause you to save current. I also believe that we need to have medical doctors in St. Patrick's and St. John 24/7. 24/7. You have medical doctors there, and that would ease up, alleviate, reduce the traffic in St. George's and Princess Hospital, Princess Alice Hospital, and then you could do more professional service there because you have less traffic down there and you could have more professional or advanced health practices down there. I believe that you should have a psychologist in the hospital in the outstation in St. John and St. Andrews. I believe a lot of people in our country have little mental dysfunction they're not coping well. Their coping skills are not very good. You have tabanka, you have some of the women, they're not. And when you hear some of the issues that causing family to go apart, I think they just need a psychiatrist to talk to them. In yesteryear, they go to confession. But people who go in and confess much sin again. And when you go to confession, that's what it happens. You say what is on your mind, and then they help you. So I believe that we need a psychologist and a dentist. Oral health is a very important thing. And if you can have dentists more readily available, then more people will take care of the oral health. And why we need 24/7? It gives opportunities for busmen to go to doctor. If you notice, this is an area they always postpone it till they're dead. Bang, they're dead. Some of the people these drivers, they don't drink much water. They don't drink much beer. They prefer to drink Guinness, Macassin, and the tomato because they say the tomato helping the pressure. The younger people might know what is the tomato, but you have to ask Gospel, Mountain Dew, Bushram. So, your preventative health is a very important thing. Now, the government of Grenada decided to build a teaching hospital, a research hospital, and for tourists. Now, I want you to assimilate that. I want you to digest that. The government of Grenada want to build a brand new hospital in the south of the island, in an area that perhaps is more prone to flooding. A teaching, a research, and tourist hospital. Now tell me how that hospital would solve the needs of our people. How does it benefit the people from Paul's, Montreach, Guave, Shantimel, Byland, a teaching, a research, and tourist hospital. Now the government went to Polaris. Yeah, I don't know, but I think Polaris is a big company in the United States that have over 100 and something years experience in hospital. And in recent time, one of the hospital went bankrupt. So they closed it down. They had a amount of court case. People don't want to close down the hospital, but Polaris said the hospital bankrupt. Now the government of Grenada is paying Polaris money. I don't know if it's 2 million or 2 point something million every year for 15 years. Now the best I could get, they're paying Polaris for the franchise, for the name. And the government have to get 500 million. That's the minimum to build the structure. A hospital is not a structure. So they should say the 500 million minimum is for the hospital building. Because by the time they finish, it could reach to 900 million. Knowing how this government operates, it could end up reaching 900 million. You hardly have a construction issue now without cost overrun. Now, what is the purpose of the government? Remember, Deacon want to be a billionaire. And most of his ministers now on the road to millionaire. I don't know if the brother in Kariakou.
Somebody said it's Mount Sinai, not Polaris.
Mount Sinai. Right.
Correction.
Mount Sinai. So, I don't know if the brother in Kariakou is millionaire already. Because he said, lose, win, a draw, he fixed for life. He's a young man. Maybe he has made other serious investment.
So,
We had the rogue permanent secretary in Kariakou. The rogue permanent secretary. Understanding in Grenada now.
okay, so Polaris is the name of the project, Mr. Pierre, and they're paying for the Mount Sinai name.
They're paying for Mount Sinai.
Yeah.
Now, what level of corruption is that? I ask the question, why it seems that we are readily supporting corruption? Now, how does this new hospital benefit the healthcare system in Grenada? After you spend this money on this hospital, would the St. George's Hospital be neglected? Would the Princess Alice Hospital be neglected? Would the medical stations in the old parish ignored? And we have a small economy, 100,000 people. Why do we need? Now, you notice the St. George's University doesn't seem to have no part in this new hospital structure. Because if you felt it necessary to build a structure, because you have a university here, and they want to practice, they would have been involved from day one. So what this new structure about? Is it to sell Grenadian organs? Is it to use poor Grenadians as guinea pigs? Are you not concerned? You might be in a good position now. You have a lot of discretionary income. What about 5 years from now? What about 10 years from now? What happened to your children? Do you believe they'll be rich as you are? I'm absolutely certain that even if you're deaf, Are you blind? You could hear and see the level of corruption that's going on in the country. Now, if we cannot blame people, I always believe that we like to blame people. We take out responsibility on ourselves and we blaming everybody. In the next couple of years to come, as the country deteriorates with the divisive statements and utterances and policies of the government, we throw our hands up in the air and we blaming somebody again. Look at the language that comes from the Prime Minister of a country. Now, the Prime Minister is the first among equal. And you expect some level of integrity and standards from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister openly uses obscenities. And it is not a fluke, because it has been done more than once. And the Prime Minister is a lawyer. And lawyers, their strongest point is the use of words. The Prime Minister used obscenities. The Prime Minister of Grenada incited violence. The Prime Minister made a movie with an illegal substance, to wit, weed, marijuana, cannabis. I tell you, and I must have said that before because I feel strongly about it, I had to engage 3 young people that I have a relatively good relationship with and ask them to remove on Facebook what they had. They had weed. Where they have some weed on a table and they're going through it and ask them to remove it. And they said to me, on target that legal no. I gave them a ex-policeman. He used to be in a program with me. I gave them a policeman now in the police force. He's from CID. And I gave them a lawyer number. I said, call these 3 people. If weed is legalized, they must know. Because, when I speak, I dare and I challenge people. But I beg them, please remove it. I say, it's not good for you. And they did take it out. And I say, when you verify if it is true, you can put it back. That is your Prime Minister, The Prime Minister claimed that he is the one selling Grenada. And he chastised even the Ministry of Tourism. They're not as important as him. But every country the Prime Minister goes in, he tends to attach himself to the dress and culture of that place. Well, how you could be selling Grenada? And all the countries you're going, you're doing as if you're jumping their clothes. Long ago, when we went to Trinidad, and if you don't know, you could listen to Blakey's song. Grenadians start to change since they reach on the plane. They say, what time you living? They say, 9:30. And I told she, because they did not want immigration to be able to identify them as a Grenadian. And that's why Blakey said, they say, dog, licks in the police van. Because Grenadians don't like to say dog. We say dog. And we say backs. And yesteryear, they used to say cockroach. So the Trinidadians was making fun of them. We have a Prime Minister now that claims he's the best seller of Grenada. But every time he travels, he identifies with the clothes and culture of the people he's going. He's not selling Grenada. He's making a mockery of Grenada. I've asked on several occasions, are we supporting evil? Is the Prime Minister evil? Yes, there is a little evil in all of us, but you never encourage evil to grow. Are we in Grenada willingly supporting and promoting corruption and evil? What's about morality? The Prime Minister took issue with a Catholic priest statement in Trinidad, and he said morality is a private thing. The Prime Minister sneak in the heat of the carnival, a bill to drop the age of responsibility so a 12-year-old could make decision now on sexual health and sexual matters. Well, I know Muhammad married Aisha, and Aisha was 6 when Muhammad married her. And Muhammad had about 10 to 11 wives. And he consummated the marriage at 9. So he did not, based upon what Muhammad said, he only had sex with Aisha at 9. The Prime Minister want to drop the consent age in Grenada to 12. The sexual, give the people the permission, the responsibility to make decision of their sex and sexuality at the age of 12. You remember Chuck does sing a song, 70 can go into 12? Now, how did we ignore this thing? Grenadians is very quiet in it. I've not heard the Chamber of Commerce. Well, I know, these people are busy. They only study about money. And it doesn't matter which government that come. Once the taxation in the country is not unbearable or it's not high, and once the country is relatively stable, the businessman will make money. And normally, the government, the NDC government, always give a tax break. So don't expect businessmen to speak. I've not heard Gino. I don't know if Gino sleeping or if they become obsolete or if they hibernating. But I've not heard Gino. The Bar Association in Grenada, not individual lawyers, the Bar Association have also been silent. But that organization never intervened to settle issue in Grenada. They just know that every time we have a conflict, there is a good opportunity for them to make plenty money. The trade unions have been extremely silent on this issue and on corruption. Now, why is it? It seems that we are readily supporting corruption. Why are we so tolerant to level of corruption? The government, after burial, claimed that farmers who have 5 acres of land or less will get $4,500. And farmers who have more than 10 acres of land, over 5 acres of land, farmers who have over 5 acres of land will get $9,000. A very simplistic and simple way of dealing with it. It creates a lot of anomalies, but that was their position. There are a number of farmers that have more than 4 acres of land, 5 acres of land. The government did not give them the 9,000. And there are farmers with 30 acres of land. The government give them 4,500. And the government first gave out checks. And when you see the farmers that got the checks, those farmers were strong NDC militant supporters. Everything the government doing is a hand of corruption. We could never forget some of the people who lost the $150. They removed them from the seed program. I have spoken to a couple of them. They listen to my program and they call, and sometimes if I have a chance, I visit them. Some of them lie down on a bed. They didn't even go and vote. But the government said the children is NNP. So if you perceive to be a NNP, you are EMAC. And some of the government militant supporters, and this one is hard, to say let them starve. You must have heard from me the voice of Shirley Ann Robinson. She cried out. You have a number of other people cried out in the society. Why it seems we are so tolerant to corruption. We in Grenada have to be the custodian of our democracy. Yes, governments are not perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And there might be incidents of corruption that the government want to hide. These are blatant instances of thieving. What this government doing is blatant, straightforward thief. And people seem to accept that. This government is creating division, divisiveness in the country. They're propagating hate. And the prince of hate seems to be one of the powerful director of the government. Obviously, they awarded him. One of the first acts of the NDC was to award the prince of hate. What you expect is going to happen? Some of the same people today that are your strong supporters, tomorrow they may turn on you. Because while they're supporting you, you're going after the brothers and sisters. The same thing happened in the revolution, When you go in Tivoli, almost all the guys that pick up gun and fight for the revolution was in jail. A lot of the Rastafarians, including Fene, I-Free, that end up in the cow pen, had guns supporting Maurice Bishop. The table turned on them. They became on the receiving end and they end up in jail. I say that to remind you the corruption you are tolerating now will come back and haunt you. Ask Kennedy Budlal. Kennedy Budlal was one of the individuals, he has said it many times, that helped to overthrow the legitimate government of Eric Gary. Kenny Lalsin and Dr. Japal appealed to Kennedy Budlal as a PRA to help them. Dr. Japal only wanted water to bathe. And based upon Kennedy Budlal action, they were given water to bathe and food. And then Kennedy Budlal ended up in jail with them. So I'm appealing to the strong members of NDC. those individuals was making a mountain out of a molehill. Those who claim they are the custodian, that's claim they were the custodian of good governance. How do you explain and how do you tolerate what went on in the National Lottery? Sometimes you hear something on the ground, you wonder how these things could happen. How does a PS authorize the changing of check and they change at 20, 30,000 and then they have it paying people 15,000 cash? How that could happen in Grenada? Remember the Minister of Finance? He said some of them had the money and if they feel they want that $200, they're going to take it out. They want that $400. He said he can't even speak about that. He's baffled. The Minister of Finance. And he seems baffled and helpless. Why is it? It seems that we readily support corruption. When a government is corrupt of that magnitude, when it seems that the government policy is for corruption, when it appears ministers of government is only in it for the money, it has a rippling effect in the country. It deteriorates. How could we do that? Have you ever thought about your son being a member of the Maribor farmers that the government took the water from? What do you make of it? My cousin Blash, as the newest radicalized member of NDC, how do you assimilate that? The workers in Maribor, the farmers in Maribor, that been sharing the water with the Maribor propagator for 26 years. You take the water away from them because one farmer, there was rumors that one farmer in it don't support in the NDC again. You're so vindictive. You're so full of vengeance. You cut all the water from the farmers. I don't know. I'm troubled. That's why I will call on people like Richard Duncan, a man who was in the public service for long, a man who a number of people followed and emulate, walk the street and all. A man who is strongly associated with the government. I know they are political neophytes. But when you have men of that caliber among them, how come we get so contaminated? How come? What is going to happen to this country when we have this level of corruption? These 22 farmers in Maribor that watch their crops withered and see that they are losing pocket, and the only crime they committed, one member of the group seems that he didn't want to support NDC again and had the gumption to say that. What happened to us? How the permanent secretary in agriculture, how are you going to face your children if they ask you, Daddy, what they saying on Studio Galaxy, is it true? Is it true that you cut off the water from 22 farmers to affect one That is what they say, you burn the whole church to kill one mice. And the mice run out of the church. So the mice make it nice. If we continue to be that tolerant to corruption, if our institutions seems to have been paid for good relationship, so they singing Deacon's tune of retributive justice, our country will deteriorate. Productivity in the public service is going to fall. I've never heard no serious call from the government about increased productivity. I've heard the call to go for the head of members who are suspected of being perceived to be NNP that work in the public service. Do you lone men believe that the only people that could develop the country is NDC? Do you have enough NDC supporters in the country to develop the country? What you going to happen to this country? I believe Deacon have no ideology. Deacon dump Cuba, you know. After Deacon beat the chest of Cuba, Polaris, you remember? How much $1 million they paying? What is the name of the company again?
Mount Sinai.
Mount Sinai. Well, if Cuba, so articulated by many members of the government, particularly those that study in Cuba, have the best healthcare system in the world, how come you go into Mount Sinai that have to close down a health facility because of bankruptcy? Why didn't you go and ask Cuba and pay the Cuban hospital? The best healthcare system in the world. You said that. So I believe Deacon is just about money. Deacon is not about ideology. I watch his performance in the United Nations with the Haitian, and I see the ease with which he was prepared to dump the Cubans and get doctors from Nigeria and pay American company. And I asked the question, who sent Deacon? And I asked the question today, why is it Grenadians seem so tolerant and supportive of corruption? What we go tell with children? We want you to subscribe to our program, share our program, and like our program. And we're back with you again on Saturday with another opportunity with the Galaxy Equalizers. Thank you very much.
Hope you know 473 standing strong is yours, you know. The medium and opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Democracy in Spice Isles is alive and well. Ask you questions, sing and